celebrity talk show in Otherranks TV. I'm your host, Sharon Serete. Tonight with us on the show, we have Honorable Peter Njagi. Peter Njagi is an advocate and also a political analyst and a politician vying for the Thika Member of Parliament seat. And also tonight we have Michelle. Michelle is here to represent the youths of Thika. Karibuni sana.
Thank you. Asante sana.
Thank you.
Now, Peter, the world and the people of Thika and also in Nairobi and all over, they want to know who Peter is.
Thank you, Sharon. Let me start by saying that's a very difficult question you've asked me, but I'll try to answer it in 4 ways. That Peter is a God-fearing Christian, and I'm also married, and I have 3 kids, aged 9 years, with a boy, a girl 5 years, and a girl 4 years, and I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and also I'm a judiciary accredited mediator who is based at Milimani High Court, Family Division, and I'm also an upcoming politician, or I have a passion to serve the people, and particularly the people of Thika.
Upcoming. So, but now since you've entered politics, that suits you to be called a politician. Okay, Peter, now why did you decide to go into politics?
What informed my decision to consider joining the political arena is that, Sharon, you'll bear with me witness that the punishment good men get, or good people get, for failure to offer themselves for public service is to be ruled by weak, inferior and evil men. And when I saw the trajectory or how our country is going, I felt that it is high time some of us who feel can offer the citizenry a good representation and good services. It's high time that we move away from our boardrooms, we move away from our being keyboard warriors on Twitter and other social media. We put ourselves in whatever they call dirty waters of politics, and put ourselves in the mark and do it for ourselves. So what informed my decision is that I felt a time has come, and the time is now, that those of us who feel can offer something beneficial to the electorate, we present ourselves so that they can have an informed decision, because the society is a reflection of its leaders. So if some of the leaders who may ordinarily be good, but maybe because they have been put into this fear that politics is dirty, politics you have to have X amount of money, you have to play with these kind of rules, they don't offer themselves. But if you have the courage and if you have the boldness and you offer yourselves, it is good, because you also give an opportunity and an alternative. So I felt it's high time that I offer my people of Thika an alternative for good leadership, which I think I can offer.
Oh, okay. So do you have something that motivated you, or you just decided that, okay, now let me enter into politics?
I must say that everything I view it, everything is political in everything you do, because even running your own house is politics. How you handle your wife or your wives, if you have several, you have to play your cards well, and I think everything is political. It's just that the politics that people talk about is actual political leadership in the context of electorate having chosen you. But look at it this way, Sharon. Even during the times of Corona, when you had these curfews and the lockdowns, what informed our movements was the political decisions that our leaders at the time, they made on our behalf. So you can clearly see that by that virtue of position of authority and that position of leadership that the people have given you, you're influencing millions. So what informed my decision was 2 things. A story is told of His Excellency, the founding president of Tanzania, Mwalimu Julius Kabarage Nyerere. And he said that as a leader, ukiona mtu ambaye anataka sana kwenda ikulu, umuulize kwa nini unataka kwenda huko. Ni biashara gani iko pale ikulu? What he meant in simple language is that you should not be very fast to offer yourself, because the moment you offer yourself to leadership, ukiona mtu haendi shule, mtoto haendi shule juu ya karo, ule mzigo unakuwa ni wako. Ukiwa na barabara ambao maybe iko na pothole, ule mzigo unakuwa ni wako. So I felt that because I've been involved in community service for some time, and I have seen the influence that my organization and my small effort through myself and my friends have done in the past, that I can do much more if offered that platform. Because I felt that I would wish to leave a mark not only to my profession but also to the people. And I've seen the small input I've done, and I felt that the people you have entrusted in position of authority, if they could do as much as some of us have done, we could be much ahead.
Oh, okay, that's good. So why did you choose Thika specifically and not any other constituency?
That's good. You know in Kikuyu, although I'm Meru, you have a saying that meaning goodness starts from home. And I was born in Thika, and I schooled in a place called Gatumaine Primary School. Then I proceeded to Thika Primary School, where I did my class 8. Thereafter I moved to Moranga High. After my finishing, I moved to Strathmore University, and then I went to University of Nairobi, and then I went to Queen Mary University of London for my masters, and then a PhD in diplomacy from University of Nairobi. And all through I've been with Thika, and I was born there and I was raised there, and I'm passionate about Thika. My parents are still in Thika, and I felt that based on my history, where I've come from, it's good I give back to the society and to the community of where I've come from, because I identify myself with Thika, because that's the only home I know.
Kwa hivyo Mswahili, wewe ni kijana wa nyumbani.
Yani mimi ni kijana 237.
Okay.
Ndio mtaa.
So tell us your plans for Thika when you get elected.
Well, I must say that Thika is a very interesting constituency, because you should remember that Thika is the entry point of Mount Kenya. Unajua pale Thika kitambo kuna mto Chani yuko pale, na pia kuna Thika River. So any person trying to enter Mlima Kenya has to go through Thika. And now everybody is trying to climb the mountain. The people are trying to seek the high office of presidency. So Thika is also a cosmopolitan town. We have all the tribes. It's a very welcoming city. It has been known as an industrial town. Yani ni mahali ambapo kumekuwa na vibanda. Thika it used to be like the Birmingham of UK. Sasa pale ni viwanda zilikuwa pale, and those are the things that we wish to revive, and those are the things that we wish to be identified with. Bado pale kuna part of it is Del Monte, and I think everybody knows about pineapple and farming. And most importantly, what is interesting is that if you look at the government vision 2030, when it talks about the Nairobi metropolis, it extends all the way to the neighborhood of Thika. And everybody knows about one of the Kibaki flagship projects, ambayo ni Thika Road. So it also identifies with our city, and that's why we want to make Thika great.
Wow, that's good. So Peter, you told me that you had a foundation, Njagi Foundation. Would you please tell our audience or the people of Thika more about that foundation? As in a target akina nani hasa?
Excellent. I actually got my picture today from one of my supporters. Alitengeneza ile picha pale ya Njagi Foundation. That's nice. Na nilipata leo. She's a photographer. So Ngoi nasema asante kwake.
Oh, okay.
Njagi Foundation was conceptualized not very long ago, but it is now registered with the relevant government entities, and it has its certificate of registration.
When you say not long ago, when did it start?
I started informally, but in terms of registration, is recent. But it was not registered because it's registered through the Ministry of Lands. It has also to be okayed by the Cabinet Secretary of Lands. Okay. So it's a high-end it's not an NGO, which goes through the CBO or community-based organization.
It's not
a foundation.
An NGO?
No, it's not an NGO.
Okay.
It's a foundation. Because for it to form a foundation, you must show proof of funds. You must also have deposited some sum of money, and you must give a kitty for you to run that organization, so that you don't go and take money from the public. That's a very big difference, because an NGO depends on donors, or what you call CBOs, community-based organization. Una depend maybe na wafadhili kutoka Ulaya wanakuletea. But foundation you must put money aside, and if it is a foundation registered under the Ministry of Lands, you must also donate some property towards that foundation.
Okay, so
which I did.
You don't have anyone supporting the foundation, it's only you?
This self-supported NGO, self-supported foundation, and I'm doing it with my own self. I'm not having any external aid. That's
great. Actually, when I heard about Mwenda and Jaggi Foundation, I thought it was a kind of an NGO thing.
No. Maybe NGOs, you have to keep holding elections because even the officials must change, and you have to report all the time to the person in charge of the NGOs and file your minutes, which is different from a foundation, because a foundation is basically a unit which is meant to enhance a certain cause, and you must be very clear what to do. Like, for example, my foundation, which is my Njagi Foundation, I opted to take the line of education, Sharon. And the reason I opted to take that line, because I'm a strong believer that education is a great equalizer.
It's very true.
So if a child is able to go to school, is also able to get good quality education, they have a level playing field with a dynasty.
Yeah.
The so-called dynasty. Because everybody has a platform. So I felt I did not want to do many things, because even the great men in history, they are not known by doing so many things. You just need to be good in one thing. And I felt that from my own experience, where I am today, I think education has played a great role for me to be where I am today. And I felt that the best way I can give back to the community is to empower those people who cannot be able to access good quality education, and I support them through that line. And I've done a few works to that extent.
Okay.
And the experience is so satisfying when the parents come back or the children come back and they tell me they've been able to sit for the exams, they've been able to go to school, because that's the best gift you can give to the community.
It's very true, and also for the children at large.
And the children.
So Peter, I wanted to ask something about you. You've talked about education so much. Now, so far, how many children has your foundation helped through education?
I would say directly we have helped over 50 direct beneficiaries from the Njagi Foundation. They are 50. And recently, I'll even share with you a video, was a girl who was a Thika medical nursing. It's not just children that we target, even people who are trying to advance from even higher tertiary education, because the last one was a lady who was not able to sit for her nursing course, and my people went to the ground and they found that it's a deserving course, and I personally went and visited the family in Makongeni phase 4, and they were very happy, and I supported them. For people, even for people who are not, for people who maybe want to go to the university, and also they don't have that. Yes, because Sharon, my thinking is that yes, you may say that you're targeting primary school children or people at lower levels, but we know that the way the world has moved, mashamba yaliisha. Sasa hakuna shamba nyingine kupatia mtoto. The best you can give to a child ni masomo. Na kama anaweza soma itakuwa sawa. So even the people who are trying to advance that way, it has been supported. I'm also working very closely with some driving schools, 2 of them, and I'll mention them here, who are also my supporters in other ways. That is Petan's driving school. I've been able to put a few people there to do driving, and also get some training kama hairdressing, vitu kama hizo. And I say big up to my friend Peter. He's the director of Petan's driving school. I also identify myself with Maridadi driving school as well. And we have done a few pilots and tests in terms of supporting young people get driving schools. And I say big up to my friend Mwangi, who is the director. We worked very closely with those 2 institutions.
Okay. So I wanted to ask something, Peter. When you're getting into politics now, are you leaving your career? Are you shifting gears, kabisa?
What I would say that the 2 of them are Siamese twins. Because if you look like being a member of parliament, ni mambo ya kuunda sheria.
Ni kweli.
Na who is better, more placed to kuunda sheria kama mwanasheria mwenyewe.
Ni kweli.
So I think it will be within my line of expertise, and it's something that I think I'm good at, because I was the youngest lawyer to go to Supreme Court and win and represent a client.
Nice.
And I did it, and I did a good job. So I think that based on my history and my track record in my career, I can also use my skills in law to advance good legislation in parliament and good leadership which is within the law. A good example, if you can kindly allow. Unajua watu wetu wanasema hawana kitu kwa mfuko.
Ni kweli.
Na unajua mtu kama hana kitu kwa mfuko, hata boma mama atakasirika. Maana utakuja usiku kama amelala. But the genesis ya hii mambo yote, if you look at it, and this is my thinking, because as a leader you must take a position, and this is my position, that our people, particularly our people of Mount Kenya, kile wanahitaji, it's a free market. And I think it builds across the board. Kenyans are very hardworking people. What we need is an environment, and if that environment is available, we are pushers, we are able to move ahead and make a living. But one thing that is ailing us is the interest rates that were capped by a law, by an act of parliament. And I'm of the considered view, and this is an informed view. The moment, Sharon, unakopesha government at the same rate na mwananchi wa kawaida, the bank would say, why should I lend to your very good YouTube channel to grow it, and you have a chance to default, whereas naweza kopesha serikali at the same rate of 18% ambao hawana chance ya kudefault. So my thinking is the interest rate should be removed. Let the market forces determine what rates should be determined for lending purposes. It should be a free market. And that's why you've seen there has been a skyrocketing of money lenders in the form of Shylocks.
Yeah.
Na interest rates zao zinakuwa very exorbitant, hazilipiki. But now somebody says, I better go to this money lender or Shylock, at least ukundapata kitu. Manake kule kwingine kwa the traditional banks are not lending. And the reason the banks are not lending is simply one. They wanaona ya kwamba wakikukopesha, you have a more propensity to default kuliko serikali. So if the government is borrowing and then the people are borrowing, that is a problem which needs to be cured. And the only way to cure it, that will be my first bill in parliament, ya kutoa hiyo sheria.
It's nice. Maybe you'll have a lot of people to back you up. You never know.
Nyamakema hakuna maduka. If you remember that sometimes bakata in a shop the goodwill could be 3-4 million and people are able to pay the goodwill. Alafu pia nalipa rent. Saa hizi hata hiyo goodwill haiuziki hata hakuna. But why? Because people had money. So when there is free flow of money, that's how the market should determine itself. But the government should not regulate internal affairs of the citizenry. The government's duty is to offer an environment. Lakini si kuingia kwa bedroom.
It's very true. Okay, Peter, I wanted to ask something else about your ideology on Kenyan politics. What do you think about Kenyan politics?
That's a very live question because you know we're in election year. But when you look at our Kenyan politics, we must also maybe start with the pros and cons. And on the positive side, I think you have grown as a democracy, so that some of the things that other African nations who we could describe as our peers, we are very much ahead. For example, there is freedom of speech and expression. You can hear every person or any politician or any person who wants to comment on anything, they're able to do that freely, and that cannot be said to our neighbors, whereby we have had instances whereby even people are muzzled to express themselves. So in terms of freedom of speech and expression, I would say we have made some progress to that extent. The other positive thing that you could say in terms of our politics is that you've seen the emergence of young people like me who are trying to show up and want to take the positions which against was the betterment of our people. And Sharon, even if you don't get elected today, that's what I want to encourage young people who are running for office. At least you have umepanda mbegu, you have sown a seed, and in the fullness of time, it's going to blossom, and it also encourages other people. On the cons, which maybe I would say the negative side, I think we also have a lot to learn, and I think we have a few things to do. because if you look at our politics, it revolves around a personality. For example, if you remove His Excellency Deputy President William Ruto from UDA, would you have UDA? If you remove the Right Honorable Raila Odinga from ODM, would you have ODM? So we need to build parties that are strong, parties that transcend the individual, and parties that build on ideologies. And I think we are in the right path, because I think the leaders of both divides, they are working towards that. Lastly, maybe something that also needs to be looked into is the weaponization of institutions. Because, Sharon, it's very sad when institutions are used to muzzle or to fight opponents. For example, when you hear that institutions of government, because perception in politics is everything. When somebody is being followed by KRA, by DCI, kwa sababu maybe anafuatilia mlango fulani, and the impression is that it's because he's not singing the government tune of the day, then it seems that the institutions are being used or they're weaponized. So I would propose, and it's my prayer, that those independent bodies live to their name, they remain independent, they do their work devoid of any political interference.
Oh, okay. So Peter, you've talked about in case you don't get elected. I was getting there now. Politics is 50-50. Sini kweli? So in case you don't get elected, what are your long-term plans?
I was not saying me not getting elected. Yangu nachukua asubuhi saa 3. And I was saying in the context of other young people who may not necessarily get elected, that they have wamepanda mbegu and a seed. Talking about 50-50, what maybe I need to mention is that the way I view politics, you can never lose in politics. Being elected is not an end on itself. There will be life after August the 9th. We have had instances, even persons who lost elections being appointed even ambassadors and other high offices. So if you take it positively, that you can serve the people in another way, not necessarily the way you envisaged, you could treat it like a journey, not a destination. So for me, is that I'll go ahead with my foundation. Njagi Foundation is something that I'm very keen on, and there is nothing that gives me satisfaction as seeing that I'm having an impact in community that I'm living with. Most importantly, Sharon, is that whether we are pronounced the winner on August the 9th or otherwise, if the elections are free and fair, we'll be the first person to congratulate the person who carries the day. And that should be the mantra for any leader who wants to be known as a leader. You don't have mandamano just for the sake of mandamano, because it may be your time or somebody else's time. Ya mwisho na ya msingi sana is that the 50-50 issue that you've brought is that when you go to any exercise, it should not be viewed as a matter of life and death, so that you see somebody who has lost, they retort to other extrajudicial ways of ventilating their claim through extra legal ways, like use of violence, use of militia. Those are things that should be condemned in the highest terms. Mtu atakosa kuridhika hiyo siku, and then takotini, you can file a case, but there are a lot of ways to ventilate your case, but have a good plan, and I think the people in Thika will watanunua sera yangu.
Okay, now we've heard it from you. Michelle is here to represent the youth of Thika, as I said. I think she has something to say to you or to ask you.
Mheshimiwa Peter, mimi kama youth from Thika, nina maswali mawili matatu ambayo ningependa kukuuliza. Mwanzo, umezungumza kuhusu your foundation. In your foundation, you're dealing with people in need of education. Lakini kule Thika, kuna wale wazee, our old men, our old shushus and all that, who've been abandoned. How do you intend to help those people, the old wazees and gukas who've been abandoned there, to live at least a better life during their last days? Unajua kuna wale wamekuwa abandoned sana mpaka wanakufa, yani wako hali mbaya sana. Sasa wewe kama tukikuchagua wewe kama member of parliament kule, utasaidiaje wale gukana shushu?
Thank you. Remind me your name?
My name is Michelle.
Michelle.
Yes.
Ulembe umetoka Majengo, eh?
Ndio.
what maybe I can say
Yeah.
is that if you look at my manifesto,
Yes.
one of the things that I've said is that I'll take half salary as an MP. Why I said that, and I wrote it in my manifesto, because I felt that ile kitu mimi nahitaji ni mafuta ya gari na pesa kidogo ya kulipia mtoto school fees. Hii ingine isaidie wananchi wa Thika. And one of the things that I look into ni mambo hiyo ya watu wazee, because watu wazee, they are endangered people, they are people in their twilight years, wanafaa shughulikiwe na wanafaa waangaliwe. Lakini kuna committee ambayo imeundwa, na hiyo committee, it's the old aged and disadvantaged individuals, ambao tunaangalia masuala ya kusaidia wale watu ambao wako na hayo mahitaji. And one of the persons that I admire is called Njagi. He's an elder of the Kikuyu Council of Elders. Amekuwa town clerk Thika na amekuwa akinisaidia katika kutengeneza hiyo area ya old persons and disadvantaged individuals. And Njagi is somebody who has sat as a town clerk miaka nyingi, na ninaona hata the next government should consider him for such an advisor to the president. Manake hao ni watu ambao they are in their 70s. So that's something that is very dear to me, and it even tells you that I've even formed a subcommittee to assist me to look into that area. Secondly, mambo ya mshahara, why I'm saying that way, because I felt that the disadvantaged individuals, among them elderly people, they may need some boosts, or what you could call some impetus for a decent living. And that's something that I wish through sustainable programs. One of the programs, I'll give you an example. Ukiangalia kama developed countries, we have what we call homes. Ya kwamba wale watu wanaekwa pale, wanaangaliwa. But we must realize that we are living in an African culture whereby we value family and family setup. So that in parliament, one of the duties of an MP is legislation, because everything is about laws. And one of the laws that I would wish to recommend, and I think can assist the elderly, is the access to healthcare. Because unajua kifika ile miaka hakosi maji na dawa. So if there is some rebate or some access to this kind of individuals, it is something that can be considered. And one of the things that we can do, even for a start, is to enhance NHIF, so that these individuals are able to access good quality healthcare.
Mimi kama youth pia nimekuja kurepresent my fellow youths. Most of us we are graduates, tumesoma. Wazazi wametoil, wakauza mashamba, wakauza mifugo, wametupeleka mashule, lakini kule Thika hakuna kazi. How are you going to help most of us who are graduates to at least earn a living for ourselves, instead of after ku graduate bado tunarudi nyumbani kusumbua wazazi na I need pocket money, I need money for this, I need money for that, and yet we are graduates. Kwa sababu tumeona people who come before you wana to promise makazi, wana to promise 1 2 3, lakini wakishaingia kule parliament they forget all that. We are really suffering. Utatusaidiaje sisi kama mayouth upande wa kazi?
Kwanza ni kusema ya kwamba it's very unfortunate, because mimi najua kwamba tukisoma tulikuwa tunaambiwa the roots of education are very bitter but the fruits are sweet. Kwa hivyo huwezi kuwa na mizizi ambayo mzazi ameuza shamba, ameuza ng'ombe, amesacrifice ndio mshaenda kwenda shule, lakini dakika ya mwisho unarudi pale nyumbani. And those are things that I was telling you, it calls for intervention from both the county level and the national level. And some of the things that I intend to do for Thika people, ukiangalia Thika kuna wards 5. Among them is Kameno and township wards, which are very populous. Ya kwanza, uangalia kwanza township ward na hospital ward. They are known for one thing, mashule. Thika, I think, should be the leading constituency in Kenya where institutions of higher learning are based. Kuna mashule mengi. I can name a few. MKU, Mount Kenya University, that is home area. Kuna Thika Technical Training Institute, iko pale within a very short perimeter. The other colleges, and Jordan College, Thika Nursing, and many more. If you look, the economy of Thika is hinged on something called hostels. Na hizo hostels zimekuja kwa sababu gani? The students have come. So if you look, Michelle, about institutions of higher learning, I think there is no other constituency in Kenya that has as high institutions of higher learning as Thika. And I had named for you a few, and they don't need to dwell on that point. Na ukiangalia, these institutions have assisted the economy in terms of hostel. Kwa hivyo wale watu, wana mtu akona nyumba kidogo, lakini anafanya extension, lakini nyumba ni ya kanjo. Kwa nini? Wanafunzi wanahitaji mahali pa kulala. But then what happens after these children finish the school? Because maybe mzazi anaacha kumsaidia. It's a very simple concept, and that concept is what I want to implement. The unity of purpose. You can have a group of individuals, they be supported. Among them is the CDF, because I want to have transparency in running the CDF. It should not be a matter of dark secrets. It should be known, ulipata hii CDF, and this is what has gone. And let me tell you, why I'm very keen on education and empowering young people, among the key issues that I stand for, because I must stand for something, is it's a time bomb. Because the moment our young children are being channeled from schools, but they cannot be able to get meaningful employment, they'll be frustrated. And those are the people who have the knowledge, they'll be able to hack into the bank accounts, they'll engage in white collar crime. But if the government and if the legislation is good, there'll be an issue-based community, na watapata kitu kwa mfuko. And most importantly, they'll be able to assist themselves and even uplift the livelihood of their loved one at home.
And maybe finally for me, but on behalf of the people of Thika, tumeona wale watangulizi wako during campaigns mnakuja na a lot of promises, manifesto zenu wa mzuri sana. Nitaleta maji, nitatengeneza barabara, nitafanya hivi, nitafanya kile. But the moment tunawapatia zile votes zetu, tunawapatia kazi, mwingie kule parliament kutuwakilisha, wengi wenu huwa you don't live up to your promises. Huwa mnazisahau. Hata kupatikana kwa simu mpatikani. Hata kukuja kule mtaa huwa mkuji vile mlikuwa mnakuja wakati wa campaign. Sasa ningependa utueleze, what guarantee do we have that you are unique, that you're different from the people who've been there before you? Kwa mara tumekuwa tukiona mnakuja wakati wa campaign, mnatuentice with goodies, mnatuletea unga, mnatuletea nini, mnatupromise heaven, lakini mkishafika kule mnasahau your promises.
Mimi kwa upande wangu, nitazungumza kwa upande wangu na timu yangu. Tunasimamia jambo moja, siasa safi, issue based. Utasikia kwa mikutano yetu matusi kwa opponent wetu, because we want issue based. Na ukiangalia wapinzani wetu, it is not rocket science kuangalia historia yao. Maana historia ya mtu inaweza kusaidia pia ujue mahali anakuelekeza. Na historia hii inajulikana, na hata kuongea zaidi haisaidii, kwa sababu mambo ambayo yanajulikana vile wamefanyia wananchi hapo awali. Wengine wamekuwa pale, na mambo ambayo walifanyia hakuna kitu ambayo unaweza sema ni kitu ambayo yani flagship project ambayo iko pale. Wengine wamekuwa katika mambo ya umma, wamekuwa wakishughulika na mambo ya wananchi, na wanajua mahali wananchi wako kulingana na ile trust walikuwa wamepewa. Yangu ni muhimu ya kusema ya kwamba mwananchi lazima ajue ako na nguvu katika katiba mpya ya 2010. Maana you can recall even the MP, unaweza msummon, and what we need is civic education. Kama mtu afanyi kazi, kama mtu hajatekeleza yale mambo alikuwa ameahidi, uko na power ya ku recall the member or any person who is elected for public office, because hizi offices za mtu yote, it's for all of us. Na ni vile tu umejitokeza na ukachaguliwa on behalf of the other people. Sasa kwangu mimi ni jambo la kwanza, civic education. Ndio ule mwananchi ama ule voter asifila kwa powerless. Atakisha kuchagua ni hivyo. Kama hujakosa kutekeleza ama umeshindwa kutekeleza jukumu lako ama yale matakwa ambayo ulikuwa umeahidi, hako na nguvu ya kukurecall. Ya pili na ya muhimu, historia inasaidia kueleza mtu alipo na mahali anapoenda. Kwa hivyo ukipiga wale watu wote ratiri, na wewe najua ni mtu ya Thika, utaona ya kwamba kura ipatiwe Peter Njagi.
Asante sana mheshimiwa, and I wish you all the best. Na kura yangu ni kwako.
Asante.
It has been great having you guys. Thank you so much. You're welcome again to the show, Peter. I'm sure I'll see you very soon.
And I'll tell you my parting shot. Kama utanikubalisha.
You're okay.
Ya kwamba nilikuanzia kuambia ma Christian. And one of the things I love doing is learning the best practices of leadership even from the Bible. Ya kwamba the Lord loves a reluctant leader. Ukiangalia mtu kama David ama Moses alikuwa anasema mimi na stama, hakuwa anataka kuingia sana pale ku lead the Israelites ama Joshua ama Daudi alipomwagiwa mafuta alikuwa bado anaenda bado kulisha. So the reluctant leader ni mtu anaenda mbali. Na hata mimi nimejitokeza, I was reluctant, but watu ambao niko nao na pia ile maono niko nao wakaniambia tunaona unafaa, and I had to do because the will of the people is the will of God. Asante.
Okay. So guys, you've heard it. Thank you so much for watching the show, Celebrity Talk Show. Continue being with us even next Friday at 7 p.m. We will be here again with another celebrity, this time a musician, a popular one. You're so welcome to the show. And as we wind up, I would like to also to acknowledge my cameraman, Atsi. I thank you so much for the good job, and you're welcome. Bye.